I'm a novelist, but probably a lot of my ideas about storytelling came from watching movies on television. I'm just young enough to be part of that television age. And I watched a lot of old movies on television. And so my idea of how stories are told, my sense of genre in storytelling, to a large extent comes from film as well as from reading books. So I find it almost impossible to pull these two things apart. What's from a literary tradition, what's from a cinematic tradition. I think the alliance that prevails still between cinema and fiction, the book and the movie, is a very powerful one. Every week there's another, heavily promoted and beautifully financed and produced movie comes from Hollywood or elsewhere, and it's based on a novel, based on a recent novel or maybe even a classic novel. But I think the two art forms, feed each other beautifully. But the other real appeal for me about working in film is precisely the fact that it's collaborative. If you talk to a musician or somebody in theatre, you talk to them about the evolution of their careers and their artistic ideas, they'll soon start talking about the different people they worked with. It's impossible for a jazz musician to talk about how their music career has developed without talking about the different people they played with and so on. The disadvantage for a novelist, I suppose what's often seen as the advantage for a novelist, becomes a disadvantage over the long distance. I mean, we tend to work in isolation, and so over time we don't have so much coming in. We're not touched deeply by other people we work with. I mean, reading other people's books isn't the same. When you work closely with people who you admire, something happens. A part of them comes into what you do, and that's what I long for. And I find that it's not quite the same thing. But if I collaborate with people, talented, passionate people in film, when I come away again, I've grown a little bit. My perspective has changed. My attitudes have changed. There's a whole part of my imagination I didn't know existed has been activated. So I like that a lot. And I have the luxury of having a territory, just my megalomaniac territory, which is writing fiction. So I can afford to be a very sort of a very affable, very open-minded collaborator in film. People are amazed at how open I am. I say, yes, if that's what you want to do with my novel, or if that's what you want to do with the script, go ahead. Of course. And they think, oh, what a nice guy to work with. That's partly because I have another place where I can do exactly what I want. That's when I'm writing fiction.